Afternoon, and thanks for being with us.
The debate over gun control is a hot topic at the state capitol as lawmakers discuss where firearms should and should not be allowed. One House bill suggests allowing students to carry guns on public college campuses. The Montana University system opposes this legislation, citing legal concerns. However, supporters of the bill say the university's policies violate their Second Amendment rights.
Last year there were 2 rapes on campus. If something like that were to happen to me right now, I couldn't protect myself. I have the means and I have the ability and I have the training to protect myself, but because of the laws right now, I'm not able to.
Another proposed bill would prohibit the state from enforcing any federal ban on semi-automatic guns and magazines. However, the Montana County Attorneys Association and sheriffs oppose that bill, saying they do not want the legislature telling them what federal laws to enforce and which ones not to. We'll look at other gun proposals in the House coming up at 10. President Obama is expected to tackle gun laws from a federal perspective during tonight's State of the Union address.
But the biggest focus remains the economy. White House aides say job creation will be front and center when the president speaks to Congress and the country starting at 7 p.m. here on KRTV. Other topics include North Korea's latest nuclear test, as well as an expected push to reduce our own nuclear arsenal. Our senators call this proposal misguided.
John Tester sent a statement saying nuclear weapons are the centerpiece of our defense strategy. He says he will not support any short-sighted effort that threatens our national security. Meanwhile, Max Baucus says in today's budget crunch, it simply doesn't make sense to cut one of the most cost-effective ways to keep America safe. We hope to have reaction from all 3 members of our congressional delegation tonight at 10.
Florida Senator Marco Rubio will deliver the official Republican response following President Obama's address.
An illegal intrusion into the nation's emergency alert system is under investigation.
During yesterday's cyber attack, at least 4 stations were the victims of a hoax after hackers broke into their EAS equipment.
Those stations include our very own, as well as others in Marquette, Michigan, and Albuquerque, New Mexico.
KRTV General Manager John Saunders issued this statement saying KRTV, along with several other stations across the country, was subject to a cyber attack that intruded into our EAS system. We're still investigating what happened.
Montana Broadcasters Association President and CEO Greg McDonald says the intrusion is a very serious federal offense and is being investigated by the FCC and the FBI.
He says stations in Utah and California were also affected, and preliminary reports indicate the hacker initiated the attack from overseas.
Synthetic drugs are becoming increasingly popular. Marijuana specifically has been at the forefront of national discussions after severe medical cases were reported.
KRTV's Simone D'Alba looked into the substance at locally and didn't have much difficulty finding some for sale at a local mini-mart.
Incense, potpourri, K2. There are countless names for synthetic marijuana. One of the more popular aliases here in Great Falls is air freshener.
They usually say not for human consumption, as if that's a way to get around illegal sale, that it's just used as an air freshener.
Packets of the drugs are typically retailed for $16 to $20, which left me curious.
Who would pay $20 for air freshener? Is that an accurate? I mean, so obviously it's not.
Correct. Yeah, no one's going to pay $20 for air freshener. I don't do it. You don't do it.
It's easy to find.
Correct.
I found out firsthand just how easy. Poppy's Mini Mart sells air freshener behind its smoking counter. The only requirement? You must be 18 in order to buy it. We contacted the owner of Poppy's multiple times. They did not wish to comment.
It seems to go in cycles, and suddenly it's made a resurgence for whatever reason. It's suddenly very prevalent.
According to Paul Corey, synthetic marijuana has become a dangerous problem here in our community.
A lot of times this stuff is mixed in a bathtub. So you get your raw plant material in there, you put it in your bathtub, you take your chemicals that come in from wherever you order them from, you saturate it, you mix it around, you package it up. I mean, there's people that are doing that.
Synthetic marijuana contains no THC, making it difficult to detect in standard drug tests.
They tend to market it as if it is natural, but it's not. It's produced with chemicals.
The physical harm can be astounding.
Tingling, vomiting, tremors.
Seizures to strokes to heart attacks, people that have become suicidal from using it. I mean, it's a dangerous drug because even the users don't know what chemicals are really involved.
In Great Falls, Simone D'Alba, MTN News.
A bill is moving forward in the Montana legislature to crack down on the distribution of synthetic marijuana, which is commonly known as spice.
Well, meanwhile, good old-fashioned healthy spices continue to be booming business in Choteau, even as the nationally known company is passed down to a younger generation.
KRTV's Aaron Shermley found the new owners of Alpine Touch plan to uphold the legacy of adding Montana flavor to our favorite foods.
For nearly 24 years, Vicki and Mark Southard have lived and breathed Alpine Touch. But now it's time for the Choteau business to be the spice of someone else's life.
We were ready to stop, and we wanted somebody that would continue to expand the business, and we know that we found the right people to do that.
Chad Ekegren grew up in Minnesota, but has always embraced his Montana roots.
Grandparents are from Choteau. They ran the John Deere dealership here. So my dad grew up here.
After attending the University of Montana and spending some time back east, Ekegren's plan was always to come back to the Big Sky State. The perfect opportunity arrived at the start of the year.
I grew up on Alpine Touch and then would just always, be driving by this. And my father and I always thought it'd be a great business venture to have it someday.
From bottling to packaging to shipping, this small operation sends Alpine Touch across the country and around the world.
The flavor itself, being 50 years now and 3 generations of Montana, I think a lot of people, it reminds them of Montana. It's just like the flavor they grew up on. It's just kind of a unique flavor. It's hard to replicate.
And after 2 decades in the Choteau community, the Southards are grateful that's where the company will stay.
My hobbies are in Montana, my family is in Montana. The hustle and bustle is easy to get caught up in, and you appreciate the finer things in life when you live in Montana.
While Ekegren looks forward to building relationships with customers new and old, it's those relationships that the Southards will miss the most.
Every day there's new customers, which is just amazing to us because we really don't know where they all come from. People will say, well, I need to get a commission because I've turned on so many people to Alpine Touch. Thank you very much, that's your commission.
In Choteau, Aaron Shermley, MTN News.
Well, high wind warnings have been issued for parts of north central Montana.
Mike is tracking it all from the Storm Tracker Weather Center.
Katie and Tim, those warnings were issued earlier this afternoon, and I'm already seeing some winds gusting around 81 miles per hour up along the Rocky Mountain front. You see the warnings here shaded in pink or purple, if you will. It is mainly for the higher elevation areas of these counties. So Great Falls, yes, it's going to be breezy or windy, but we're not going to see the strongest winds, those gusts up to 60 miles per hour in the city itself, but rather at the higher elevations. Winds right now are gusting anywhere from 20 to 30 miles per hour. They're sustained at 20 in Great Falls, 25 in Cut Bank, and 15 in Havre out of the west. Then again gusting and sometimes around 40 miles per hour even at this hour. Here's a look at our TrueView wind forecast through the evening and overnight hours. The winds are going to be sustained 20 to 30 in the Electric City, Fort Benton, Chester, Havre, Cut Bank. It is going to be a breezy or windy night, if you will, and those strong winds will continue right on into the day tomorrow. That warning continues through Wednesday evening for parts of the area. We'll look ahead to our chances for rain and snow, which are not very impressive, coming up in Storm Tracker weather.